I
it.
made it.
Yay. I was like, where is Phil? He's always so punctual.
No, no, no. Not when there's people who need their Botox, you know?
Listen,
No. You know.
I am melting.
Duty calls. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's exactly what they say here. Exactly.
Exactly. That is essential and an emergency.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Sometimes I feel like a first responder.
You are.
How you doing down
So
there?
everything is fantastic. I mean, how can it not be waking up to the sun and to the palm trees?
Rubbing in. Rubbing in.
Try to be conscious of not
Yeah,
doing that.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's raining here today, so everyone was a little pushed back. So I do apologize for being late, but I am ready to rock and roll.
No worries. So I'm going to introduce you. So this is Phil Zanardi. He's owner of Dr. Park Avenue Medspa. It's located in Hoboken, New Jersey. Really close and convenient to the train, to the path. And he is known for delivering aesthetics, right? So Botox, dermal fillers, smart lipo, laser hair removal. And Phil and I worked together. He hired my agency to manage his social media. And so we redesigned his page, and we're doing some more exciting stuff for him that we'll be able to discuss come the new year. I'm so excited for you.
That's right. That's right. Yep.
We've been working together since March. You hired me through during the pandemic. And we came up with some really good reopening strategies for your business. You've been running your business for 8 years, so it's not like you need business consulting or anything like that. But what I really enjoy about our business relationship is that there's always an exchange of ideas. So, for example, you helped me come up with the name CEO Snacks. I mentioned to you like what I wanted to do, and you were like, I like CEO Snacks the best. So thank you for that. So I want
I
to
will
know.
credit.
Go ahead, Phil.
I said I will gladly take the credit.
Yes, listen, I was having such a hard time, and as soon as you helped me with that name, it was like I just went right with it, and like the next week we had an interview.
Good.
So I want to know from you, what is your CEO snack that you can share with us?
So I think that I was thinking about this. So I think that what I wanted to say was there's a lot of stuff out there, right? And I think that the best thing that people really need to know is that trial and error is okay, and it's okay to not know. I don't know that, and sometimes people, and I'm glad that you said something about like our sessions, and sometimes like we brainstorm and whatnot, and you know, you're right. This is not a business that I'm new to, but sometimes you and I talk, and it's just good to just talk out loud and just think and whatnot. And we just sometimes you and I talk, and we're just throwing stuff against the wall, and it's just, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? And sometimes it's like, no, it's a terrible idea, or that's a good idea, or maybe that's a good, or let's try that idea, or we don't know if that's a good idea or not unless we try it. So I think sometimes people get very stuck on like they need to know like if something's going to work, and they just need all this absolute certainty. And I think the reality is there is no certainty, and people, whether they want to hear that or not, sorry, but that's kind of the snack, is that there really is no real magic pill. So that's my stack, is there just is no magic pill. You have to just be willing to accept that. And now I think I try not to get too much into all the content that's out there. And there is a lot of good stuff out there, don't get me wrong. There's master classes, there's little things like this, like there's certain little bits that you can get where you can get a good tip here and there. And if you do that and you can grab one thing here and there, that's great. But too many people, I think, are scared to start because they want to have everything perfectly lined up, and it's just not the case. I mean, like you said, I'm doing this. I'm in this business almost 10 years, And I can tell you the times I'm making mistakes. Like it just happens, you know. In science, we make mistakes, right? That's what science is. Science is trial and error. That's what they do, clinical trials and stuff in science. You know, I have my phone angle this way because I'm near a charger, like I always am, and I just have my phone charging. That's why I'm in a weird angle. But you know, it's when a scientist is doing something, what are they doing? They're looking at, they're researching and they're studying past experiments of what other people did and what they observed, and then they're taking that information, looking at it, maybe trying whatever angle they want to try, doing a new experiment, observing that new experiment, and they're doing a trial. They call them clinical trials, right? Trial, and then if there's error, there's error. So I think people just have to accept. So if you're going to learn one thing from me, one thing that I learned is like you have to accept that like error is a part of it. It's just a part of what
Absolutely.
this is.
And you know what I love about you being a client of mine is that you and I share something in common, and is that I was in a business where I wasn't necessarily an expert at what I was selling, but I was an expert at building a brand and running a business, right?
Right.
And there were a lot of things that I had to learn with you know, the day to day. So for anybody that just joined us, I used to own a nail salon in Hoboken, New Jersey. So that's how I know Phil. And I didn't do nails. There was a science to doing nails that I was not aware of. And so
Sure.
I made lots of mistakes in the beginning, like promising, you know, a certain amount of time on a service, not knowing that it took a little longer, not understanding the steps that went into like a manicure, gel manicure, acrylics. But I didn't fear not knowing. I knew that I was comfortable
No.
in the things that I did know.
Yeah, I would say this. Look, you can't. I think it's okay to make a mistake. Two things: you have to minimize your mistakes. You can't make the
Right.
major where it's a major financial mistake where you're putting your company in a hole. So you have to have your numbers cold, right?
Yep.
You have to know your numbers in your sleep, backwards and forwards, what your risks are, what your risks aren't. If you're going to take a risk, you have to know what that risk is, what that risk really means if it doesn't work out. You have to almost expect it to not work out versus, oh, but what if it does? Okay, what if it doesn't? And what's the plan if it doesn't? Can you afford for it not to work out? So, if you're going to take a risk, I'm somebody who I'm a risk taker. Anybody who knows me knows that. But it's okay to be that way, but prepare for it, you know, and prepare for what that means. And it's okay to stumble, just mitigate that risk, minimize it, and then don't make it again. Don't make the same error again. That's where the mistakes happen, is where you make it again and again and again. And you're just not fixing it or learning for it or pivoting. Then that's when you get stuck in the mud, and then that's when your competition will pass you. So if
Yeah.
you can quickly move and quickly say, no, you know, we messed up in that, and be humble enough to say, no, we messed up. Don't be arrogant and say, look, that was my bad. No, I was wrong about that. I think this would be better, or so and so was right. You know what? That would be a better move. You move on, and then you pivot, and then you know life goes on, and another month will go on, another quarter will go on, another half year will go on, and you'll get through it. So, you know, businesses survive, you know, mistakes and errors. So don't be afraid to make them. Just don't make them again. So just as long as you're learning from them and growing from them and moving quickly and being vigilant, you'll be okay. So I think that if you're going to take something away from this, from whoever's watching, don't just consume and consume and consume. There's so beyond. You can't watch as much content as there is now in you know our day and age. Don't you know just consume yourself with everything and just think you have to know everything. You're not going to. You won't know everything.
What do you think
That's
is
not your job either.
what do you think is one really important factor to know so that when you do get stuck, you're able to move quickly?
In terms of branding, or in terms of
I
what? In
would
terms
say
of what?
overall business. Like, is it knowing like your customers and what they want? Um, is it being open to like reviews? I mean, what helps you stay unstuck?
I think just an overall awareness of really everything. So what I think I like to always have, just to keep things simple, I like to always keep an eye on basically once, at least once a week, or really even more. I like to keep an eye on what's going on in my accounting department. In a small business, it's always you, right? But it's like, okay, accounting, what's going on? Um, in the promotional department, which is you, right? What's going on? And then in the operational side. And the what? So if you just can kind of just break it up into those three things, just to keep it simple. So your operations is what's going on. If you're a retail place like you and I were or are, okay, what can we do to make our operations smoother? People coming in is, how can we make that smoother? Okay, so that's operations. Um, or how can we make it more automated? How can you make that operation better? Or is there a fire to put out like there always is? So there's your operations. Obviously, your marketing is your marketing, and then your accounting. Are there bills that need to be paid? What bills are coming up? What bills can we cut? What's coming up next quarter? Budgeting and whatnot. So those are I would just, to keep it simple, I always, at the top of every week, just those are the three things that I always just say, okay, like, to my own personal cabinet, those are three things. Let's keep an eye on what's going on in those three things, what needs to be fixed, what needs to be addressed, go from there. So I would say always have an awareness. I want to give you a straight answer. Having an absolute awareness of those three things at all times.
I think that your snack was so perfect. It's true. It's okay not to know, but there's certain things that you need to have like your fingers on the pulse for, which is definitely your finances, your operations, and what was the third one?
Your promotions, your
Your
marketing.
promotions. Me.
Yeah.
That's right,
Yeah, you.
me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
I just
So
wanted you
if
to
you
say
could just,
that.
yeah, always, just to keep it as simple as possible. That's the heart of your business. And then everything else, just keep an eye on those things and how can those things get better. And believe me, if you're not constantly looking at those things or finding issues with those issues will find you, because fires will constantly come out. You're constantly putting out those fires anyway. So it's just good to constantly stay on top of those. And like I said, it's just it's I don't want to. Yeah, I'm glad that you asked me to do this because this stuff is always fun. But I just don't care to overwhelm people with too much stuff, because I don't believe in it. I don't believe in bogging down people with too many things. I believe in risk, and I believe in just going out and trying stuff. And let you and I do it once a month. We go and we throw a bunch of stuff against the wall and we see what sticks. That's kind of part of it. And people have to realize that, yeah, legitimate businesses that make legitimate money do that. Um, and sometimes we do this. And look, it's not all the time. And there's times that we say we have an exact direction of where we want to go, but there's times we hit a spot where we're like, yeah, it's trial and error is a part of it. And you just can't be afraid to make a mistake and think you're the only one. You're not the only one. I'm here to tell you, I'm there. I make mistakes. We all do. So
We're human, and we're also in a business where we depend on other people's behaviors and interests, right? So we have to learn how to move with the fine times, as we like to call them.
yeah, I mean, culture changes. People's taste changes. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, styles change. Your competition can change. They can think of something that you didn't think of. So it's just, like I said, an overall awareness of those things that we talked about, and constantly just having your hand on the pulse, I guess, your finger on the pulse rather, is important, and just always keeping your eyes open, and that's really the name of the game, and just being in the hunt, and try your best to keep it simple. I actually just signed up for a course. I'm forgetting her name. Blakely. What's her last name? Who's the Spanx founder?
Oh, Sarah Blakely.
Sarah Blakely. And she's like, it's very like her thing is very same thing. She's a billionaire, right? And she's like, I like to keep things simple. It's, you know, build it, sell it, build awareness, and
Exactly.
choose, like, that's it, get really good at sales. You're always going to be your biggest salesperson.
Yep.
You can't just hire away other salespeople and whatnot. So constantly always be on the move of selling yourself and your brand and your product, and constantly be building awareness. And yeah, are we putting things in simplistic form? Yes, because this is a quick 15-minute thing. I get it, but
Right. But there's
yeah,
more to this.
there's way more to, and like and anyone who's watching this that runs a business knows that, and knows that
Right.
it's constant. Like I said, I ran a couple of minutes late because a phone call came in and it's like, oh, so and so needs this, needs that. I'm just like, what now? It's just how it goes. So it's never going to be a smooth ride. So it's and there's no CEO snack that's going to make it smooth.
Nope.
There's
But
just not.
I love your snack because again, in the times that we're living in, we're not necessarily being efficient because we can't be. We don't know what tomorrow's going to hold with COVID and all this stuff. But what we are being is what you said is scientists. We're experimenting, and it's okay to
Right.
experiment. It's okay to like make the mistakes. Just don't get stuck.
Absolutely, absolutely. With that said, if they end up doing, I don't know what's going to go on or what you end up doing, whatnot. If there ends up being another stimulus or whatnot, and you want to do one of these, and we can walk through people like your, like
Like
our
what I
friend,
did.
yeah, we can do that again. That was a huge help. That was
Oh,
great.
so
So,
yeah. So let me just, so for people that are watching, when COVID hit, I basically pulled all the resources that I had, being that I was home watching everything from my couch. And I wanted to help all the business owners that I knew personally. And so what I did was that I rounded up all the business owners that I knew, and I did a Zoom with an attorney who's very well versed on SBA loans, and basically helped everybody walk through that process. So although I promote myself as a digital marketing brand management, I'm also business consulting because I know what it is to run a business. I know that sometimes we're so busy trying to figure out what's next that you need somebody out there that's got your back, I'm back. That's got
yeah,
your back and is basically going to say, hey, I have this information and you need to have it. So yeah, we'll definitely do that. I'm putting a few things in the works. So since my goal was to leave this at 15, we're really at 20 minutes.
oh,
I want to
sorry,
thank you,
sorry.
Phil. No, it was totally
Absolutely.
me for chatting it up. But thank you so much for being so supportive and doing this with me. And if this was valuable to you guys, please send me DMs of anything else that you want to hear about. I have another CEO lined up for next Friday at 3 p.m. and I'll be announcing that on Monday. Thank you, Phil.
Thanks, Michelle. Thank everyone for watching. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Same problem to have.